Turning Point USA wants to explain to you why gay rights are gun rights. Now, what does that mean, you ask? Well, take a look at this video and then we'll talk about it.
My name is Rob Smith. In 180 seconds, I'm going to convince you why gay rights are gun rights. Let's go. So here's a fact. Gay people are attacked for being gay. LGBT people are attacked for being in this community. So why the hell would we let the left take away our guns? According to the FBI, in 2017, people who were attacked for their sexual orientation or gender identity made up nearly 17% of all hate crimes. Hate crimes are real. They really do happen. People are beaten and attacked and killed for being gay. So why are we voluntarily supporting initiatives that are going to take away our right to defend ourselves? This clearly played out in the horrific tragedy in 2016 when a terrorist walked in to Pulse nightclub in Orlando and killed 49 gays and lesbians. So in the wake of that horrific tragedy, the left gave us groups like Gays Against Guns. You would think that they would give us groups like, I don't know, Gays Against Terrorists. After a terrorist walked into a gay club and killed 49 gays and lesbians, you would think the left would want me to have as much opportunity as possible to protect myself. I served in the military. I know my way around a gun. I want to continue to have the right to do so that I can protect myself, so that I can protect my husband, so that I can protect my fellow Americans, if that's what it comes down to. And that is a right that everyone else should want as well. A study from the Williams Institute says that domestic violence between same-sex couples is actually higher than in the general population. So that means, according to statistics, gay people should place an even higher value on protecting ourselves than the general population. Why would the left want to disarm a population that are statistically more likely to be targets of violence? So also according to that Williams Institute study, gays are half as likely as straights to own a firearm. So why are we less likely to own a firearm when we're more likely to be targets of anti-gay hate crimes and violence? LGBT people are Americans too. We have the same rights that were enshrined in the Constitution that gave us the rights to protect ourselves and the people that we love. That's why gay rights are gun rights. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you to think. I'm Rob Smith. That was 180 seconds.
Why do you need an assault rifle to defend yourself? Like he's talking about how he was like, I was in the military and so I know my way around a firearm. Yeah, but when you're in the military, you use assault rifles because they're military weapons. They're weapons designed for the military. Why do you need those weapons in your house to defend yourself? Now understand something. Rob Smith is trying to focus on hate crimes. But the same argument can be made about violent crimes in general. It's just that Turning Point USA likes to hide their right-wing agenda underneath this black gay man, Rob Smith, so that they can sound slightly left and edgy. But that's beside the point, though. The focus should be violent crimes. The argument is really about protecting yourself from violence. And he keeps mentioning how, we need to be able to defend ourselves. That's not a gay thing. That's a gun rights thing. That's a gun violence thing. So here's the question I have. Why do you need an assault rifle? Where is the limit here? Like, what is someone gonna walk into your house and you're gonna be like, oh, good thing I got myself some 40 rounds to dump on this guy? Oh, the best question you can ask a right-winger that doesn't support gun control is you ask them if they think rocket launchers should be legalized. And if that gun control is too harsh, like you ask them, is that gun control too harsh? That's gun control. We cannot have you can't just go and buy a rocket launcher right now. We have gun control already. Most conservatives have this belief that the US currently has no gun control laws at the federal level. And they think like they think that, you know, the Second Amendment protects them from having the ability to defend themselves by whatever means that they want. But that's just not true. You can't own a nuke. You can't own a rocket launcher. Now, there are some private lands where you can mess around with this stuff, but you just can't purchase this stuff legally and use this stuff like you would a typical gun. That's called gun control. We have gun control. You might say, well, nukes aren't guns, but that's just a point about vocabulary. The principle underneath is what matters here. You can't just purchase a rocket launcher. Now, what you do with right-wingers is you ask them if they support that gun control. Does that gun control make sense in the US? Most people would say yes. The obvious follow-up question is, why? Why? And then you start working your way backwards. Does it make sense to ban high-capacity magazines? Why or why not? Keep in mind that you have to work backwards from the principle that rocket launchers and nukes should be banned, not just gun control itself. You don't just try to find where their limit is, you find the principle for why their limit exists where it exists. For example, I think that assault weapons should be banned. Why? Because more guns correspond to more gun violence at every layer of locality. And according to every modern researcher and Harvard's comprehensive literature review on, I think it's over 20 modern research papers that all conclusively argue that more guns correspond to more gun violence. That's the principle underneath, that more guns means more gun violence. However, you should push back at me. So when I say, like, I think we should ban assault weapons, you should push back at me, because according to that principle, I shouldn't even be in support of handguns. And you're right, I'm not. The principle would lead me to conclude that I'm against guns in general, and I am. I'm that one progressive that isn't an incrementalist about gun control. You see, I hate the idea that we should pass baby step measures to reduce gun violence. In my view, that's comparable to baby step corrections towards Medicare for all. So like all those people like who say, yeah, Obamacare was great, right? That's incrementalism towards Medicare for all. Banning assault weapons is incrementalism towards banning all guns. Almost every researcher on the matter, though, and I want every progressive to listen to this, because even progressives they can't wrap their mind around this. Almost every researcher on this matter suggests that we should just jump to Medicare for all. And likewise, every researcher on gun violence claims that we should effectively ban guns outright. So this video from Rob Smith is just really strange because he actually puts pictures of assault rifles. And it makes you scratch your head and ask, like, why? Why assault rifles? Do you need to make sure you sink that barrel down their throat and then spray and pray into their brains? Is that your response to hate crimes? That's your response to hate crimes? Because that's really weird. That's a really weird way to respond to hate crimes, to gun violence. But that's the thing, like, they don't think through this. They don't think that their audience is smart enough to think through that. So I really want to emphasize, everyone, and I know this is a radical position, not a lot, like Kyle Klinsky wouldn't stand on this issue, TYT doesn't stand on this issue. I believe we should ban guns. I believe we should ban guns outright. Number one, we have more guns than people. That's not okay. Number two, more guns equal more homicide, more gun violence. and also more homicides. And that's true at every layer of locality. And all these people will say, well, Chicago, well, LA, well, Baltimore, well, New York City, all this gun violence. Those cities I just stated, specifically LA, I think Baltimore too. I might be wrong about Baltimore. LA, New York City, Chicago, all have better than average when it comes to gun violence. They are better than average per capita. They're better than average not per capita. Both ways. Those cities, all of those cities, are literally better than average. And that includes if you look at every city, or if you just look at cities with over 100,000 in population. Either way, those cities are safer. And they don't even have gun control. Chicago banned their, they got rid of the bill that banned the sale of firearms like 10 years ago. Come on, guys. Like, wake up. You know, this is the thing. Progressives are like 20 years behind on this issue. You guys need to do some serious research. The modern researchers, just Google search. Here, I'll do this for you guys. God, you guys are going to make me. I'll do this for you. We're going to Google research the Harvard study for you all because, you know, every time people cite your sources, okay, let me do this for you. We're going to search Harvard gun violence literature review. All right, here it is. I believe this is it. Yes, okay, so this is from Harvard Injury Control Research Center. These are the conclusions. And I want everyone to really pay attention to this because this is a literature review that is so freaking big in the research community for gun violence. Number one, where there are more guns, there is more homicide, according to the literature review. There are so many studies on that. Number two, across high-income nations, more guns equal more homicide. Number three, across states, more guns equal more homicide. Number four, across states, here's another study that shows across states, more guns equal more homicide. Number five, a summary of the evidence on guns and violent death, which is another chapter that discusses how the number of guns correspond to the number of violent deaths. Number six, more guns equal more homicides of police. So all of you Republicans out there that say Blue Lives Matter, more guns equal more homicides of police. And then there was another recent study that suggests that that a gun in your house means you are more likely to die of gun violence. So you think you're trying to protect yourself, you're actually more likely to die of gun violence if you try to protect yourself. These are the people with the mentality of, oh, I'm going to lock it up, I'm going to be safe and everything. Doesn't matter. So everyone, I want you to pay attention to what I'm suggesting here. You really need to look into how progressives are handling this issue. Progressives are looking at this from a very incrementalist standpoint. They're like, well, let's focus on universal background checks. Let's focus on licensing. Let's focus on trying to shut down the gun show loophole. No. We need to stand up for what's right. And for all you people out there that suggest that, hey, you shouldn't stand on an issue if it's so overwhelmingly unpopular. You're never going to pass a measure to ban guns. You're never going to pass a measure to ban guns. Why would you support such a thing? And my response to you is, what do you think Bernie Sanders has been doing with Medicare for All for the last 30 years? Medicare for All wasn't popular until 2016. There's about 25 years before that where Bernie Sanders was supporting Medicare for All. Do you think he was popular? Hell no. Hell no. And so in the same way, progressives, you guys need to stop being incrementalists.